if you understand what the West has been doing to itself over many decades. Because what we've seen in the reaction to October 7 is nothing less than the extinction of conscience, reason, and justice.
How are we going to save Western civilization? The truth is that the West needs to fall back in love with itself. Take a look at this clip over here with Melanie Phillips, Aaron Molan, and Sky News. And they talk about how we together are going to save Western civilization. What is the key to doing so? So we'll watch this clip together and then talk about it. But first, hit that subscribe button over there in the corner. We'd love to stay in touch. Check this out.
You've absolutely nailed it. I wish...
Unfortunately, alas.
Unfortunately. Last question, and I'm conscious of your time. How do we fix it?
Well, you have to carry on doing the wonderful work you're doing, Erin. How can we fix it is a question that I've asked him, if I can make a plug for my latest book, which I published in America in January. It's called The Builder's Stone, How Jews and Christians Built the West and Why Only They Can Save It. And what I'm saying in the book is that you can only really understand the insane reaction of so much of the West to the October 7, 2023 atrocities and the war that's followed if you understand what the West has been doing to itself over many decades. Because what we've seen in the reaction to October 7 is nothing less than the extinction of conscience, reason, and justice. And when you look at what the West has done to itself in undermining its core precepts for the last N decades, that's exactly what it's done to itself. It's undermined its own rationality, its own sense of justice, its own understanding of truth, and its own conscience. It got rid of conscience completely. So how do we remedy this? Well, you know, the question you're actually asking is, how do we save Western civilization from going over the edge of the precipice towards which it is sliding very fast? And that's the question I've kind of addressed in the book. And the answer, in a very sort of shorthand way, is that the insanity about Israel and the Jews in the West will only be addressed when the West decides to try and save its own civilization and connect with its own core values. How does it do that? I have various proposals in the book, but it basically means that our leaders, political, cultural, religious, whatever, have to stand up and say to themselves, okay, we are in the last chance saloon here, and we have to save ourselves by reasserting our core values and to start standing up for them, to stop saying, oh, it's racist to say that the values of the West are better than anyone else's. No, it's suicidal to say they are not. And so, they have to be reasserted. Now, the ways that is to be done, that's another argument, but that's basically what has to be done. And meanwhile, in order that that should happen, people like yourself and myself and others just have to keep on keeping on. We have to keep on, difficult as this may seem and despairing as we may feel from time to time at the enormity of the challenge. No one seems to be listening. My experience is that people are listening. There are millions and millions of decent, sane people out there in Australia, in Britain, in the West, who may not think in these terms, these abstract terms very much. They may not have read very much. They may not know very much, but they kind of feel in their gut that something is terribly wrong here. They don't like what they're seeing. And they need arguments. They need to know the facts. They need to be able to arm themselves, partly to try and persuade others, but mainly so that they themselves don't lose heart and don't themselves become brainwashed by this tsunami of lies that we're living through. So we just have to keep on keeping on, I'm afraid.
This reminds me actually of the way in which the Founding Fathers set up the United States, that their primary focus in setting up society was based on the Hebrew Bible. Now, even though they were all Christians, the primary focus was on the Hebrew Bible, the so-called Old Testament. And the reason being is because the Hebrew Bible is primarily focused on law and creating a civil society. There's a lot of laws between human and human, between man and his fellow, and God, and between man and God. But as far as establishing an actual society, all of the laws in the Hebrew Bible about commerce and honesty and not speaking ill against other people and not murdering people and not stealing from people, all of these sorts of things are the bedrock of what makes a civilization good. And so I appreciate what Melanie Phillips over here is saying, that this idea of sort of creating a society, not that everyone has to be a religious person per se, but created on the ethos of the Hebrew Bible, a civilization that operates in honesty, with certain premises that are the bedrock of Western civilization. That itself, going back to our roots, like where we actually came from as Americans, what made America in its founding, Western civilization, what undergirds Western civilization. And that is the Hebrew Bible, that is the Ten Commandments, that is civil law based on divine revelation. If you believe in all of these civilization creating principles, then you strengthen society by living them. I will say that I also believe something that would be very good for society to do is to embrace the concept of God. And this is also what Western civilization, particularly the United States, is based on as well, that our rights come from God. Well, this idea that you are special, that you are unique, that you are created in the image of God, that history has a purpose and a plan, and there's a destiny that we all share together, that was something given to Western civilization, to the United States, by the Jewish people, ultimately from the Jewish people, as delineated in the Hebrew Bible. And so the more that we can appreciate that, what more empowering idea could there be that you are created in the image of God, you have infinite potential, and that there's a shared destiny for all of us, that we're working to create a more good and godly world. What could be better than that? What could charge a person more than with vigor in life and want to just like live out to its fullest, than knowing that you're created with purpose, that there's a purpose for everything, and you play a key role in fulfilling that purpose. That's just my thoughts. Love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you like this content overall, hit that subscribe button over there in the corner. We'd love to stay in touch. Take care.